Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Kieran. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are all doing well, still alive, breathing, etc., etc. Today I'm going to be doing how to read your own tarot, how to learn tarot. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching you guys, either my current subscribers or any stragglers that come along, how to do tarot. Okay, in my personal life, on this YouTube channel, I've done a lot of twin flame tarot readings, some other kinds of topics, and I feel a natural call to actually stop doing tarot readings in general, because of there's other things in my life at this time that are actually more important that I feel called to do, more creative things, new YouTube channels. I'm actually starting a meditation channel with music that I make myself, starting another kind of spiritual channel. A lot of interesting ideas. Going to start doing podcasts, writing, singing, all sorts of things, creative stuff. And so tarot's actually been naturally been pulling away from me. So I'm actually going to stop doing them on this YouTube channel. I apologize to any of those people who have, of course, recognized me as their some sort of guide for them. But at this time in my life, it is a natural pulling away from this. And so I wanted to give back and teach you guys and anybody that does come along how to do tarot for yourselves. Okay, that way you might understand what tarot really means. Now, one of the biggest problems with tarot is that people ask questions incorrectly. They see tarot as an answer to every single question in their waking life. Should you do this? Should you do that? Should you go to Disneyland? Should you buy that vibrator? Whatever the question may be, should implies free will, right? And you can, of course, do whatever you want. Tarot is best used for making a choice between two things, or to understand if you should follow a certain path, right? What would be the outcome if I were to pursue a career in music, right? What would be an outcome if I decided to kill my neighbor, right? These are going to be the best way to use tarot rather than using it as a codependent mechanism for for just getting some kind of quick fix, which is what it does turn into. I've seen that as a tarot reader on YouTube. I've seen that as someone even before doing tarot reading who would constantly try to attach themselves to tarot, almost in a codependent way, because what it does is it is almost like filling up a cup with water halfway, and so you drink that, but you're of course still thirsty, so the answer only seems to salivate you, quench your thirst for a little bit, but you're still wanting more. It never actually quite penetrates, right? So people often use tarot incorrectly. They use it as a method to sort of get this future basis for everything, right? But the future is uncertain, it's unclear. Every action you take in a day, of course, can lead to a different outcome, a different future. Energies change. So what's important, I think, is to actually, if you learn how to do tarot yourself, you can transition out of that codependent energy and start empowering yourself. And what you might realize naturally, as I did once I started doing my own tarot, is that you don't really need to do it that much, and you actually just learn how to get answers for yourself through traditional methods such as stillness, meditation, or just introspection, which are things that I'm getting better at. So all that being said, I'm going to go over the reading, how to read tarot. This video is probably going to be long. I wish that it wasn't. I know people's attention spans are pretty low these days, but still, I hope that it helps at least a few people who genuinely are interested in learning how to do this, okay? So the first thing that we must understand about tarot reading is there are many types of tarot decks. There's many types of oracle cards. I'm not going to get into the whole history of tarot. I'm just going to go straight into how to read. Okay, so forgive me if you want a more historical analysis of why tarot exists, how it started, and the different types of decks and oracle cards and similarities and differences between all of them. That's not going to be here, but I'm sure there's lots of other videos on YouTube that'll help you out with that, okay? But for me, I'm going to go through the different types of cards within a tarot deck. Okay, now this is a traditional tarot deck called the Rider Waite. Silly sounding name. Again, no, I'm not even personally sure where it came from, but it's ancient, kind of oldish. But it's a more traditional set of tarot cards. You may have seen these designs. These cards are particularly in black and white, a little bit kind of holographic, but Usually they have more color to them. But these designs are the standard designs, which is again called Rider-Waite. Okay, so that being said, you have 78 cards in a deck. All right, and I'm pretty sure I failed math like 3 times in college, so don't trust me with numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's 78. I've been doing it long enough to at least be 90% sure of that. And again, split up into 5 different sort of, let's say, categories within those 78 cards, okay? The first thing that you have is you have major arcanas. Now, major arcanas start with the Fool, they end with the World. It's like 21 cards. And these are essentially a journey, in a sense, from 0 to 21, from the Fool to the World, a stage in your life, okay? Now, all tarot reads energy, okay? It reads situations, it reads the energy of outcomes, but it's all energy, just like everything that exists, okay? It's all based in energy. So with the major arcanas, though, to speak on that energy, it is suggestive that the energy is much more profound, much more important, and is actually something happening within the evolution of your soul in this lifetime that you're going through, um, rather than more day-to-day activities. And that's why this is called major arcana. These cards from 0 to 21, the Fool to the World, are called major arcana, which is to imply that these are more important. Again, having to do with your soul's transformation, your evolution to what you're going through at this time right now. Whereas the other 4, essentially the rest of the cards in the tarot deck, are called minor arcana, which means that they're more day-to-day energy, right? Things that are happening within your daily life, like your work one day could be different than the next. So one day you might have a particular card, and that might talk about just, maybe it's like this for a couple hours at work, or maybe it's like this for a day at work. Whereas if you get a major arcana, it might signify something larger behind the schemes going on within your particular career life, right? So a minor arcana might say, well, your work's been kind of stressful lately, but a major arcana might say it's time to change jobs, okay? So you can see the energy of the two is very different. One is more profound, transformative soul, and the other is just day to day, okay? So what I am going to do is just move on, and then after I'm actually going to get into each cards and tell you what they mean through each these 78, okay? So after you have the major arcana, you go into minor arcana. Doesn't really matter which order you start with, but I'm just going with what I have laid out. You have the Pentacles cards, okay? So immediately it goes from an ace, which is kind of like a 1, a beginning, and that goes to the end, which ends with a king, okay? And the ace, the pentacles, they talk about earthly matters. They talk about finances. They talk about career, money. They talk about stability and things that you can find within this earth realm. Things that you can touch and hold and have and want. Okay, that you can actually plan for. Okay, now it isn't to say that you can't read a love reading and you can't get pentacles in that card. Absolutely, you can, and then they would still make sense. But a pentacle card is traditionally, generally speaking, towards more monetary or something physical. Okay, so for instance, if you get let's say a positive pentacle card in a relationship spread, then you might be suggesting that the relationship is stable and is based and has financial security to it, and maybe there's some marriage involved, some kind of joint operation, right? But the idea here is that there is something based in groundedness, something based on this earth, okay? Now, the Pentacles cards represent astrologically the earth signs, which are Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn, okay? So, moving on from that, we have the Swords. Again, ace to king, or 1 to king. And the Swords talk about mental abilities. They talk about mental capabilities, agilities, thinking, right? It's your mental body, okay? And the idea, of course, is you have this, you have your mental energy, you have the ability to think, and also the ability to be trapped in fear, right? And everything in between. The ability to think clearly, to think strategically, and the ability to be trapped within your own thoughts and overthink things. So anything that happens within the mind, ideas, decisions, thinking patterns, belief patterns, things like that, anything that happens inside your mental body, that's going to be where your Swords cards are at, right? And again, say it is in a love reading or something like that. It could be that you have that you're making clear decisions about love, or that the relationship is very clear based, right? Moving on from swords, we then have the wands. Again, ace to king. And the wands are going to talk about action, desire, passion. Okay. And now, all of these cards can definitely bleed into each other a little bit, these different kinds of suits. And I just forgot to mention that Ace of Swords is your air signs astrologically, which is Gemini, Libra, and I think Aquarius, if I'm not mistaken. And now you have your wands cards, okay? And wands cards, again, things that you want, you desire. Action cards, this is kind of your where your passion is at, right? So that feeling that you get when you want to create music or draw or dance, things like that, that really life force energy that comes from wands cards. It talks about desire and real action, okay? So they are action cards, okay, if you think about it like that. And again, these are fire signs, so Leo, Sagittarius, and the other one I don't care about, Aries. There you go. Okay, those three. Okay, and then finally, cups cards again. Lastly, ace to king. These are emotions. Pretty simple. Okay, there's anything that happen in the heart space, things that you do, of course, want and desire as well, but more from an emotional standpoint. How happy you are, how much love you feel, what kind of love you want. It's all based around the heart. Okay? Pretty straightforward. And then again, these are water signs. So this is Scorpio, Scorpio, Pisces, and the other one, I don't know. What's the other one? God damn it. Scorpio, Pisces, and something. I don't know. I forget because I don't pay attention to astrology because I don't really care about it. Even though it's all very true, I just don't pay attention to it very much. I'm just looking it up real quick. Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. Yeah. Okay. So that's the three. Forgot Pisces. Or Cancer, I forgot. But anyway. So those are basically a traditional layout of the cards, okay? So moving on from that, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get into the actual definitions of the card, which this is the meat of the whole readings, all right? Okay. So I'm going to put these ones aside. I'm going to start with the Major Arcana. Get into those, and then hopefully it'll move smoothly, all right? So I'm going to go in with these basic definitions. Before I start with the definitions of the card, remember that if you're a good tarot reader, or an accurate tarot reader, 80% of it around should be your intuition, with the specific question in mind, what you pick up, what you feel with your intuition, what you seem to know without logic, and 20% of it should be the base definitions of the card. Also, in regards to that, when it comes to definitions of cards, every tarot deck has a different, let's say, variation of the meanings, though they are all quite similar, but some can be a little bit different, a little bit worded differently, and they can involve different things. For instance, you can read these cards in any kind of way. You can read it as you, the querent. If you ever see that word, it always talks about the person who's being read for. Or you can talk about it in the terms of another person, the energy, the outcome, right? You can always look at it. Depending on your question, the answer will vary. And that's why decks typically will have definitions, but a little bit more... they'll just be differently worded in each kind of tarot deck that you get. So what I'm going to give you is just a very base definition of these cards with as much detail as I feel called to share, but I think it will be enough to give you a general idea. Okay, so starting with the Fool card. Again, start of the tarot deck and start of the Major Arcana. Okay, it is the first card. It is 0. Okay, you can see that up there. I hope the lighting is good. This laptop is not very good. Or I suppose it is alright, but the video quality isn't that good. Anyway, so the Fool card talks about a new beginning in your life. Energetically, it talks about being free. It talks about being a little bit naive, having a light baggage. It's like a start of a journey, okay? And that's why it's the start of this whole deck. It's about going and setting forth on some kind of adventure, so to speak. So Bilbo Baggins, if you're familiar with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the novels by J.R.R. Tolkien, the Fool Journey. If you're familiar with Luke Skywalker and Star Wars, right, these ideas of the fool's, the hero's journey, where they're just the start of the journey, but they don't really have a lot, and they go forward. Okay, so say if you're going to move to a new country, start a new job, start a new relationship, the Fool card comes out. Well, then it's talking about that there's anything can happen, right? The Fool card is saying that there's limitless possibilities. Okay, so they could lead to something negative, could lead to something very positive, but the idea is when you start, nothing has been set in stone. Okay. So you can even think about that as a personal energy as well, talking about being free, in yourself. So if this card did come up for you, it could be talking about maybe just letting go of the past, letting go of some of that baggage, and just being free again, being very youthful. Okay, though the card does and can happen, can have some sort of let's say it can have a negative meaning, in the sense that if you're naive, you might not be knowing a lot, but generally the idea is that it is actually quite a free energy to be in. So, all that being said, every single card has a reversal. Okay, now some tarot readers choose not to read reversals. Some tarot readers do. Reading reversals makes the reading certainly much more accurate if you're really trying to get to the truth of the matter rather than some quick fix. So what I'm going to do is just read the reversal, of course, as well. But generally speaking, reversed of the Fool card is basically saying that 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 the energy is almost opposite to what I've been saying, right? That there isn't much freedom, that there isn't much much to do, right? There's this energy of feeling quite, let's say, stuck within yourself, not feeling very free, not feeling very adventurous, things like that. I'm probably not going to go through the reversals of every single one just to save myself some time, but every card does have a reversal meaning to it, so please look them up. I'm only just going through the first one just to give you an idea, but the reversal is not always, but can be a very opposite meaning. So if the card is very negative, then the reversal meaning sometimes can even mean that it's more positive, actually, and other times, if it's a very positive card, it could mean that it has a sort of the opposite meaning. So again, the reversal to the Fool card is kind of like saying, oh, you don't feel very free, you don't have a lot of light energy, there's something, delays, things like that, right? That this is, an adventure that might be already off to the wrong start, okay? So, moving on from that, we have the Magician card. This is number 1 in the tarot deck. The Magician card is about transitioning from that Fool energy into someone who knows what they're worth, the capabilities to manifest their desires using the tools of the universe, right? The cups, the swords, the pentacles, and the wands, right? So this magician is very capable of getting what it is that he wants and creating his desires and manifesting, right? So this idea that if you want something, you have the ability to actually bring it in and create that, okay? Number 2 is the High Priestess, okay? Now this card speaks to secrets. It speaks to a feminine energy of spirituality, okay? It speaks to uncovering hidden truths, seeing things, with your third eye chakra, right, heavily associated with that, with perception, okay? This is about uncovering secrets. It's a little bit illusionary in a sense that the High Priestess often doesn't reveal all of her secrets at once. It's heavily related to this idea that you must, of course, at times you don't have all the answers. The High Priestess might come out to say there's something that you're not seeing clearly, that there is some sort of secret at hand, that there is something that you must know. And so this card is often associated with meditation and connecting to your higher self, okay? Connecting with that feminine energy within you, to actually receive and download some answers, okay, to get some sort of vision or clarity, right? And of course, each of these have symbolism within them. The only reason that I don't talk about the symbolism within these cards is because each tarot deck is different, and the symbolism within the cards are all going to be different. And personally, I'm only using a Rider-Waite deck because it's traditional, but this is not the deck I use. I prefer decks that are a little bit more unique and different. Okay, but anyway, moving on. Now we have the Empress card, often referred to as sort of the divine feminine energy. The Empress is always about sort of living in this idea of abundance, this mothery kind of energy, this loving energy of like a mother archetype, right? The creation, the nurturing, the creative energies, right? Of not only, of course, from love, but from that desire to create something, right? So the Empress card can go mean anything from a loving, nurturing mother type figure to just wanting you to explore more of your feminine side, to wanting you to maybe create a work of art, something like that. So it's this very creative kind of energy to be in, and again, very feminine in energy. Okay, it's about taking the scenic route to things, being in nature, things like that, being connected to this energy of source. Okay, or whatever you would call it, God, source, the universe, God, the force, whatever you want to call it, okay? Moving on to that, we have the Emperor, more masculine energy now, like divine masculine. The Emperor is, of course, going to be this person who makes very clear decisions, okay? Someone who is not afraid to take control, take power. Doesn't mean that he necessarily uses it incorrectly. Again, there's reversal meanings, but upright and traditionally speaking, the Emperor just speaks of someone who is very in charge of his life, okay, and makes very clear decisions. So as a major arcana, it's saying basically taking power, taking hold of your life, taking hold of yourself, and having the confidence to complete and move forward in your life, okay? So it's a very strong, powerful masculine energy to have. Moving on from that, we have the Hierophant, okay? This is sort of like the Pope kind of energy. It speaks of traditions, generally about seeking counsel. So sometimes you can refer to this as something as simple as seeking out help from a therapist, or more spiritually seeking help from a religious person, or someone along those lines, right? So it can, also denote like spirit guides, things like that. Being able to connect with the different energies of the universe, right? Being able to connect to, your spirit guides, but also the wisdom within, right? It's a card that speaks about wisdom. So whenever this card comes out, it's an energy about speaking towards seeking out wisdom through traditional means, okay? So again, in relationships, it could also speak to something like marriage because it does speak to traditions, but traditionally, what this card does speak to is, of course, doing things in a very traditional way. So again, if this card's coming out and you're asking whether or not you should get help from someone or go see a therapist or something like that, or if your spirit guides are around you, things like that, and this card comes out, well, it's definitely suggesting that yes, either your spirit guides are around you, you should go seek wisdom out, should get help. This is about seeking counsel, okay? So number 6, we have the Lover's card. The Lover's card is always about a choice. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be between two different people, but it doesn't have to be love, is what I mean, but it always is a choice between two different paths. And the Lover's card is essentially saying that the choice is up to you. There's an element of free will. That's why you have those two naked weirdos here to represent that whole biblical thing about not eating the apple, and of course God told them not to, but it put them in front of them, and that whole bullshit story. But the idea here is that you can make a choice in your life, and you do have the free will to do so. So if you want to make a choice, or you have a choice in your life, either between two potential romantic partners, two kinds of friends, a job, two jobs, maybe a city that you want to live in, staying in one place, moving to another, the Lover's choice, the Lover's card comes out to say that, hey, it's time to make a choice, okay? It also can often be a very good sign of a positive relationship, meaning like, again, you could try to see things with, you could pursue an element of true love, or you might not, right? So if there is no choice, it could be a choice between a relationship or no relationship. Number 7 is the Chariot card. This is about heading towards some sort of success or victory. This is a forward momentum, okay? These two sphinxes pulling this guy forward, meaning that there's this charging forward energy, right? That there's the energy is all about moving forward with some sort of momentum and success, right? That you're heading towards something with a powerful energy motivating you, okay? So it is a very motivating card, but it is all about heading towards a specific goal with definitely some kind of motivation and energy behind you, okay? Number 8, we have the Strength card. This card is pretty self-explanatory. It definitely is just pretty much referring to that inner strength that we all have, the ability to tame your inner beast. You can see this woman sort of like tempering this lion here. So the lion, of course, known for, yes, being courageous, but also charging ahead and being very fierce, right? So sometimes in life you need to temper that anger, temper that those emotions, and have strength to continue forward, to charge forward, right? Picking your battles, things like that. Having the wherewithal to recognize that energy within you and to be able to let it out in a calm fashion. So having the strength, again, to not give up, to persist in whatever the question is that you're talking about. Okay. Number 9 is all about, it's the Hermit card. It's all about introspection, sort of in the sense like the Hierophant, about gaining some sort of wisdom, but the Hermit card is always about doing it on your own, whereas the Hierophant is about seeking out help from some other outside source, such as a book even, or again, counsel, right, from either spirit guides, angels, or somebody in some profession. But the Hermit card is about understanding answers within, meaning that, oh, it's time to be alone because you actually do have the answers within. So it could, like the High Priestess, be talking about meditating, or just something as simple as introspection and taking time to decide things for yourself, to learn more about yourself, okay? And it's the number 9 card, which is number 9s are synonymous with letting go. 10, we have the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is about change, either good or bad. So it's sort of almost in a sense divine timing. It's about luck, right? So if you're wondering about, if you're in a particularly bad spot in your life and you're wondering if things will get better, and the Wheel of Fortune comes out, well, hey, good news is on the way. Things are about to get a lot better, okay? It's turning. There's a shift coming. However, if you're wondering about, or if you're in a very good position in your life and you're wondering how it's going to go, and the Wheel of Fortune comes out, well, it could go the other way, right? It's kind of that idea of what goes up must come down. So this card is really all about just the luck of the draw. The wheel always turns. What goes up must come down, and so on and so on and so on and so on. That's life, okay? And then you die. So there's that fun note, okay? But it's kind of speaking about just like the will of the universe, okay? 11, we have the Justice card. Justice is all about balance, okay? So if you're feeling like betrayed or wronged by the universe or in your life or even by a particular person, Justice card suggests that there will be balance coming in, that there will be this universal balance, this justice that will it'll just sort of wipe the slate clean, that things will return to normal, okay? So whoever's in the right will be in the right, and if that's you in this case, then you will find some balance in the situation that you're asking about, okay? It is, of course, about truth as well. Number 12, we have the Hanged Man. This is about being suspended because there is something in the way, I should even say a lack of something that to do, really. Basically, this person is suspended because he can't do anything. Rather than struggling against it, he is sort of he's finding some peace in the moment because there's nothing he can do. Hangman energy is, of course, in a limbo sort of state. So oftentimes in spiritual awakening, you do find yourself stuck between your old life and your new life, really unsure what it is that you want to do. So I was in this energy for a very long time, and then I moved to Canada, and suddenly it was like, okay, fuck that energy, because now it's too much shit to do. So the Hangman is very much about just not forcing things, because there's nothing to be forced. So you kind of have to suspend yourself and let go, kind of a limbo kind of state of being. All right. it is also, of course, saying now is not the right time to make any decisions. 13, we have the Death card, one card that nobody likes getting, but it's really not that bad. Death, of course, comes for everybody. I'm going to die, you're going to die. We're all going to die, and it's going to be great because we'll be dead, and we won't have to see YouTube videos for carpool to karaoke. We won't have to pretend to like talk show hosts, and we won't have to do our taxes anymore. So, death is great, comes for everybody, but it doesn't also have to mean a very significant death in a sort of a physical death. It could mean a metaphysical death, metaphorical, in the sense that it's a transformation. So transformation is occurring within your life. If you get this card for a particular energy about your work or relationship or what you're going through, it's talking about an ending to something so that something can transform and you can become new again. Okay, born anew. Okay, so, and that's why at 14 you have the Temperance card, and this is about that balancing of the 5D and the 3D. She has her 1 foot on the land, 3D, and 1 foot in the water, 5D, right? So 1 foot in emotions, 1 foot in spirituality, and 1 foot in the groundedness and the physical reality, okay? It's already having been transformed into this new kind of being, this transformative being. This card heavily denotes spiritual awakening or some connection to the spiritual, to the esoteric, and it always kind of speaks about needing to balance out the different areas of your life emotionally, right? So it doesn't have to be something about being necessarily spiritually awakened, but it could, but it also can just talk about finding balance within your own life in something as simple as diet, or maybe in a larger scale between work, career, and love, okay? But it is about balancing out the areas of your life, all areas, okay? Whereas the Justice card's balance is more about having a truth, balance things out, clean slate, okay? So 15, we have the Devil card, and this is about codependency, addiction, right? The card doesn't have to be so inherently negative. It kind of generally is. If you have a lot of positive cards around it, it could just mean that that there could be the problem of something. Or if you're asking, if this card comes up in a love reading, it could be talking about a lot of sex, a lot of passionate sex. But generally speaking, this card does speak to codependency, being chained at the kind of, you can see these two chained together by this larger kind of presence, this evil or more sinister force, okay? So it is often always a reality check to make sure that your intentions are honest and authentic rather than being based in the ego, okay? Because this card is heavily involved with just being kind of stuck or chained to something that isn't serving. That's why after we have 16, we have the Tarot card, the Tower card, which is a Tarot card. And it's about foundations being shaken up, this lightning breaking apart this tower. So the idea is that if there's a tower moment, well, then it wasn't really on solid ground, because if it was meant to last, it would have, okay? The idea here is that there's a shakeup, something happens unexpectedly, always comes out of nowhere. The event might be shocking, but it could either lead to it will always lead to something positive, but some higher understanding. But the event could lead directly to something positive or directly to something negative, right? But the idea is that it's always unexpected. I've never had a tower moment and it been a positive thing, so I'm going to go ahead and just say, generally speaking, every tower moment seems very negative at the time because it's unexpected and it shakes some sort of belief system or some element or some life. So like a sudden breakup, being kicked out, a secret being learned, things like that, okay? But it can lead to some higher understanding if you let it, okay? But it is always unexpected. And what it can lead to is 17, Star card, healing, hope, and faith. Okay, this card always is a great card to get when there are some things in your life that you're wondering about if they're going to get better, if you're going to be more healed, more happy in the future, especially if you're going through something a little bit chaotic right now, like that Tower energy. The Star card is saying soon things will get better. This is a time of rejuvenation and health, resting, regaining your health, and being ready for this healing energy to come in. Okay, so it does talk about hope and faith, just like you would have if you looked up to the stars at night. Okay. After that, we have the Moon card, number 18. The Moon speaks to intuition, dreams, can have an element of fear along with it, but because it's sort of nighttime, you have to kind of look up to the moon to decide where it is that you want to go, because now you have to follow your intuition now. Okay, so things might seem scary, right? But the moon card is saying trust your intuition, and that you also heavy dream energy through the moon card. So as you dream answers, your intuition speaks to you through your dreams. Okay, it's something that happens to a lot of empaths, people that are spiritually awakened, and certainly if you're attracted to this video, you probably have a lot of messages that come to you in your dreams. Okay, but always follow your intuition. Okay. After that, we have 19, which is the Sun card. So very happy, freeing energy. Finally, this is like just about being free. You can see this kind of this kid, this naked kid. What a weird. Again, right. That's why I stay away from this deck because it's so fucking weird. Like whoever thought that this would be a pretty cool image to have on a deck. Just a naked child on a horse. But it is what it is. But the idea here is that naked, nudity, child, freedom. Right. So the Sun energy is all about freedom. Right down to your absolute core. Feeling childlike again, happy, loving, the sun is shining, the problems are away. Okay. And 20, we have the Judgment card, which sounds bad, but the Judgment card is really just about making decisions and letting go of the past. Kind of when you find yourself at a crossroads, you need to now decide how you want to move forward. And oftentimes when you need to move forward, you need to let something go. So this is about kind of being judged for your actions, your decisions that you made, because now is the time to essentially let it all go and allow this sort of saving grace energy to take you over. Okay? So it does even speak to an element of surrendering, but always speaks to an element of having to make a decision in your life. And then finally, we have the World card, the completion of this fool's journey. This is talking about a chapter in your life ending. For better or for worse, something in your life is now ending, and that there is this completion, this new cycle about to begin. And so you've completed a major stage in your either spiritual awakening or your life, okay, which of course go hand in hand as well. And so there's just something hugely new on the horizon, and now you've completed it, a culmination of all your efforts, and now finally, and so this card is almost always seen as a very, very positive card to get, because it always talks about there being some positive resolution to whatever you've been going through, okay? So that is the major arcana, okay? 37 minutes in. We can still do this, guys. We can do it. Let's move on to the Pentacles, okay? And we will go through them. All right, so Ace of Pentacles, guys. So, again, Pentacles, earthly matters, things like that. The Ace of Pentacles speaks to an opportunity in the future, or a potential opportunity coming up, okay? It is a potential opportunity. It is an offer of some kind. It is basically saying, this hand out of the sky, here's something for you. Would you like to take it? Again, like the Fool, it might lead to something bad, but it is an offer. It's a legitimate offer given to you. Okay, so in relationships, it could be an offer of a committed relationship. In a job, it could be, again, a promotion, a raise, a job given to you, things like that, a partnership being offered. But again, something being offered, an opportunity. The Two of Pentacles is about juggling. You can see this little doofus right here, juggling two pentacles. So this is sort of like having to manage things in a way that you might not be used to. So when it speaks to finances, this is kind of talking about having to juggle your finances at a particular time in your life because you might not really have a lot. So, and even if you have enough, there's a lot of moving parts going on in your life, and you have to juggle it to put the right square in the right hole, you know. So you might actually have money, but you have a lot of projects that you're working on, a lot of bills to pay at the same time, and you're trying to figure out how you want this, how do you pay for this, etc., etc. Doesn't mean that you're broke. It just means that you have to manage your money. Next, we have the Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles talks about working as a team. It also talks about having your work recognized. Okay, they're looking at these pentacles up here. This guy's like a sculptor, presumably, and these two, they're probably saying, "Oh, that's really good. That's awesome. That's so much better than the last thing we saw. That other thing was a piece of shit." So they're kind of admiring your work and sort of enjoying the fruits of your labor. Okay, and it also talks about teamwork. This element of threes, right? So just having more than one person involved in a project, something like that, right? Doesn't mean that that there has to be more than one person, but it always is a recognition of some kind. Okay. The Four of Pentacles, you can see this guy, he's kind of greedy. He likes to hold on to his money, hold on to his pentacles. So this could go either way. It could have a more negative meaning, such as you're holding on too tightly to your money and that you need to spend money to make money often. And especially if you have goals, right? You can't open up a business without paying some kind of money. So, don't be so greedy with your money. Also, it could just mean that you need to hold on to your money. It really depends on the nature of the question. But primarily the meaning of this card is holding on to your money tightly. For negative or for positive, that is essentially the definition. The Five of Pentacles is a test of resources, always temporary, just like the number 5 denotes, but this is about kind of being left out in the cold and not really having enough. So the Five of Pentacles definitely speaks to basically just kind of being broke, not really having enough, and again, just kind of like being outside of the fun, right? Just being outside, kind of wrapped up in the cold, with this idea that really you're not sure how you're going to make ends meet, okay? But it's temporary. And after we have the Six of Pentacles, which is a gift. It's a gift that you don't deserve, like winning the lottery or somebody giving you money that you didn't expect. It's an unexpected gift, okay? Somebody has enough, somebody has more than you, and even if they don't, somebody's decided that you deserve it, and so they've given it to you, okay? So it could come through an unexpected pay raise, finding money on the street, again, winning the lottery, or it's just your friend suddenly deciding to lend you, $100 or whatever. It's a gift, okay? Next, we have the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles is all about kind of resting on your laurels. And if you're not familiar with that word laurel means, then it's sort of like appreciating the work that you've done, because you've done a lot of work. You've worked hard for these things. It doesn't talk about giving up or, not continuing to work. It's kind of like in the process of, say, you're building a garden, like a nice garden in your backyard, and you've gotten a lot of the way, 70%, let's say, and you're kind of just resting, looking at your garden. And you might say, oh, there's still some things to do, but you've earned some success, and you can maybe sit back and relax a little bit and just enjoy the fruits of your labor, okay? The Eight of Pentacles talks about kind of going right out of that energy to going back to hard work, right? So you've enjoyed your work that you've done, but now you got to continue. So this is that disciplined, hard-working energy. You're almost in the clear. You're almost done. You're almost very, very clear. You've got some things done, but you're a hardworking individual, and you're getting things done, okay, in a very disciplined way. Could also talk about education, things like that, about working hard towards something. So sometimes this card can have a meaning around education, going back to school, because it talks about just putting in the effort, which people, I guess, associate with school. But if you were to ask me, school is about, not doing anything, because that's exactly what I did. All right, so Nine of Pentacles talks about living in comfort, living lavishly, having enough, being abundant. So this woman has a lot. She's got a lot of stuff going on in the background here. All the flowers, the gardens. She got like a little weird, stupid-looking bird that doesn't have a face on her hand. So she's chilling with that bird. She's doing her thing. She's enjoying the things that she has worked for. She doesn't really have to work that hard anymore. She's just getting to enjoy it, laying back. Again, that energy of kind of like being on a vacation that's been well-earned, well-deserved, and completely paid for, and you have enough money to go back without worrying about how this vacation might have bankrupted you. Something like that, okay? Ten of Pentacles is a great card, one of the more positive ones to get, and definitely speaking towards having enough, having more than enough, actually, and having just this happy home, happy life. So, of course, Ten of Pentacles, if you've been wanting a home, well, then this card is like kind of saying like, oh, you're going to get it, right? You are going to get that. It is also a great card when it comes to marriage. when you want to actually find out if there's a potential partner, a committed relationship, Ten of Pentacles is saying this is founded in something positive, okay? So, happy home, happy life, complete abundance, okay? It's that culmination from the 1 to the 10. You've worked hard, you're okay now. The Page of Pentacles, slow-moving but grounded individual here. A small offer, kind of like your prosperity increasing just a little bit. Again, maybe you're well off and you're wondering if you're going to get a promotion at work. Well, this card is definitely suggesting that you will. Okay, it's like, again, your prosperity is increasing because you've sort of you have this vision of where you want to be, and so your vision is now paying off because it's a more grounded, clear vision. Okay, and that allows the Knight of Pentacles to offer you something much more substantial, much more grounded. The Knight of Pentacles is a very disciplined energy. So, speaking to a very grounded individual who has put in the work, who has been disciplined, who has been methodical in his nature. So, it's taken him a long time to get to where he is, but now there's this real financial offer, this real stability. So, essentially, if you've worked hard for a job that you've wanted, or you've worked hard for someone to notice you, and you've worked hard at your craft, so say if you're a writer and you've been working really, really, really hard at writing, and then finally you've done it, you've completed it, Knight of Pentacles, someone offers you maybe money for the book, or they offer you a job as a writer, etc., etc. Okay, it's something real that you've worked for. Okay. Now we have the Queen of Pentacles. This is an independent kind of financial woman, independent woman who has enough on her own, definitely nurturing, mother-like, caring, but separate from the actual feminine influence herself, because it doesn't have to be about a woman specifically. It talks about being just sort of being living in this ideal sort of comfort, right? Being independent. So the Queen of Pentacles speaks to having complete independence away from anybody else, okay? And then we have the King of Pentacles. So this is absolutely like the Queen of Pentacles, having enough, having everything that you need. The only other thing that we really can add to the King of Pentacles, other than the masculine energy, is and how grounded he is about kind of about a helpful person, a helpful benefactor. Because the King of Pentacles has a lot he usually is somebody who's very generous, so he can offer people things, whether it's money, a job, a partnership, a career, advice, right? Whatever it is, it's grounded. It comes from years or wisdom, and it comes from something that he actually has and owns. Okay, so it's always coming from a place of groundedness, meaning you can trust it. It's stable. Okay. So that takes care of the Pentacle cards. I can't believe we're still going. If you're with me so far, holy shit, I'm really proud of you. Alright guys, let's move on to the swords. Swords cards. The Ace of Swords, again, opportunity. This is, rather than an offer, it is an epiphany. It is a clear decision. It is an awakening of a mental body. So essentially, Ace of Swords comes in. You now realize or have clarity about something. Okay, and so now there's this opportunity to basically think clearly in a new direction. Okay, so again, you have a new perception on life. Okay, Two of Swords is about being blind. It's about being blinded. It's not about having the truth. And because this person is blindfolded and she has the swords crossing her head, it means that she's not willing or she's unable to accept the truth at this time. Sometimes in life, people aren't really ready to hear that the person that they're with is a bad choice for them. Perfect example of where the Two of Swords might come up. Kind of unwilling or unable to understand or hear the truth at this time, or see it. Three of Swords is about heartbreak, loss, betrayal, third-party situations. You have your heartbreak, okay? So this is about that pain that you feel from loss and suffering, okay? So this is just a negative card to get. It's basically saying like, oh, you've had a breakup, or you've been betrayed, or somebody lied to you, or something bad happened, you lost your job. You don't feel very good about it. So you have this Three of Swords to say that your mental body is just in anguish right now, that you're just not feeling good. Okay, it's a pretty straightforward card. Now the Four of Swords is kind of coming out of that and basically saying, well, you're resting and healing from that, right? That you're taking the time to clear your mind, to meditate, to rejuvenate, to sort of rest in stillness. This is that recovering energy similar to the Star card that I talked about earlier. Next, we move on to the Five of Swords. Now, the Five of Swords is about conflict and loss, but it isn't a total defeat, like the Ten of Swords that we'll get to. The Five of Swords is kind of about taking what you can and walking away from a battle. So, again, you may need to save your face in lots of situations. So let's say that you're having an argument with someone, Five of Swords comes up, kind of saying like, rather than like just going all the way with the argument, you just go, you know what, I'm done with this, and you walk away, either from the relationship, the argument, the person, or the situation, the job. You just kind of like realize it's not worth it, and you walk away before things get worse. Okay. So it's like if you have the perception to know that your job might end with you getting fired, you quit before that happens. Okay, next we go on to the Six of Swords. So this is essentially saying, you know what, you've experienced all that shit, not the greatest, and now it's time to move on from it. It's time to move to calmer waters, okay? So you're basically moving away from the negativity, okay? moving away from the things that have troubled you. Okay, often can speak to literal journeys, often across water, but doesn't have to be. But just moving away from, either literally or metaphorically, away from what hasn't been serving you and what's actually caused you quite a lot of pain. The Seven of Swords is a more sneaky energy. This is about getting away with things. It is about theft. It is about stealing. It's about deception, essentially, right? So if this card does come out, of course, it could mean that someone has actually stolen money from you. But mentally speaking, what this card refers to is a deception. So someone's been lying to you. They've been deceiving you. They've been thinking that they've been getting away with something. Okay, that's why this person is sneaking away with these swords. The Eight of Swords. The swords cards are really not they're not the most fun of the tarot cards. The Eight of Swords is about being trapped in fear, kind of about really being unable to go anywhere. The most fun thing about this is that you're actually able to get out if you want to. There's nobody here blocking that string. You can see it's purposely not closed. Okay, it's not tied to anything. Essentially, this woman has trapped herself in her own fear. In situations in life that we're afraid of, we of course constrict and restrain ourselves from moving forward because of the past or because of what our thoughts are, and so we're unable to move freely. Okay, and that's again transitioning into the Nine of Swords. This is about those sleepless nights, having a lot of anxiety, staying up late, not being not being clear-headed, not having a lot of clarity in your life, just like, again, can't sleep because these thoughts are just worrying you. You're just much too anxious, and all these problems inside your head. And of course, that's what it's saying, is it's just kind of saying, like, these are all in your head. That they're just not things that need to be worried about that much, because they're just, you're at late at night thinking there's nothing you can do about them, and yet you torment yourself anyway. And then sort of like suffering in silence. There's no reason to. Ten of Swords is about that complete ending, like I mentioned earlier. It is about the death, the ending. This guy, clearly, he's donezo, he's gone, he's dead, he's fucked up, he's not coming back to life. Because the situation, the relationship, the career, whatever it is you're asking about, it's gone. It's done. Now a complete break from the past can happen, and we can move forward. The Ten of Swords is like, it's a permeating pain. Pain is, it's not fun, obviously. It never feels good, but some types of pain, if it's not painful enough, it lingers. The Ten of Swords is like pain that shoots right through you, and then it lifts because it's over. I remember feeling this with the end of a particular narcissistic relationship about 3 or 3.5 years ago. Had that Ten of Swords moment, and after that it just felt more free, more clear. And that's why we move into the Page of Swords. Page of Swords has a lot to do with about thinking clearly, being sharp, having a really sharp mental energy, and being able to cut away all the bullshit. You're kind of just very clear-headed now. It does have an element talking about contracts, things like that. Signing contracts is sort of a side element to it, because it has to do with just thinking clearly, right? You're now free of whatever has been holding you back, okay? It's a very strong mental energy. The Knight of Swords, much more quicker, charging through situations, so breaking barriers down, basically freeing yourself up in a large sense to just come in quickly with the truth. It does have this element of stress to it, though, but unlike the Nine of Swords, the stress is more because in this situation, it's because you're charging in so quickly that you're not really thinking about the ramifications of things. That there's just this stress to get the job done. So it's more like that survival kind of energy. But that kind of energy actually pushes you to go forward. So the Knight of Swords is like all about truth, communication, and really just charging, breaking through the barriers. The Queen of Swords is an individual who can be quite bitchy, or if you don't prefer that term, let's say cutthroat. Let's say she can be harsh. Okay, it doesn't mean that she has the worst intentions. She can, but essentially it means that sometimes you just need to speak your truth, and it's not going to be the best to the other person, but for you, you need to do it. So it is really primarily about speaking your truth and getting your message across, even if it comes across as cutting or bitchy. And finally, we have the King of Swords, which is all about making the right decision, thinking clearly. Okay, I know the Page of Swords is, yes, about having mental sharpness, but the King of Swords is about having confidence in now the way that you think. It is now a complete freedom to make your own decisions, and you're just like, you know what, I am in charge of the way that I think, regaining control of your mind to make it serve you. Okay, so the King of Swords is essentially complete confidence within your mental body. Okay, so that is the Swords energy. Almost an hour into this. Holy shit. All right, guys, let us get on to the wands. Wands energy, we start with the Ace of Wands, phallic symbol for penis, for sex. Okay, it's a very passionate card. An opportunity comes towards you. So similar to the Ace of Pentacles, it could be a job opportunity. It could be any kind of opportunity. The idea is that there's something passionate, a new beginning that's going to give you life again. Okay, so there is some kind of energetic opportunity coming towards you, which is going to restore some passion into you. So it's a passionate opportunity coming in. Essentially, something that you've been really wanting coming into you. It also heavily talks about travel. Okay, because these are action cards. A lot of these cards have to do with travel. But again, definitely has a lot to do with sex as well. The Two of Wands is about planning and kind of about choices in the sense that you want to choose where to go. Okay, so it's about planning and preparation. This is like, say, if you're wanting to book a ticket for a plane ticket, or wanting to buy a plane ticket for a vacation, you might be choosing where in the world you want to go. So this is kind of like that kind of energy. It's a little bit slower. It's more methodical in planning what you really want to do, what kind of actions you do want to take in the future, and it's just about planning out your future in a way that best suits you. Okay, and looking at where you want to go. The Three of Wands is kind of like you've booked the plane ticket, right? But now you have no choice but to wait until the day that you actually depart. So now it's like you're ready for action, right? You're ready for things to take off. But right now you're kind of just waiting for those ships in the background to come in to bring you what it is that you need, kind of like a wife waiting for the sailor to come home. There is some action that's about to take place right around the corner, but for now all you can do is wait. So make the best use of your time at this particular moment in your life. The Four of Wands, a great card to get, one of the best, about marriage, union, success, harmony, love, peace. Definitely just a successful project has been realized. Okay, Four of Wands comes out, you're asking about if this project's going to be successful, if the relationship's going to lead to marriage, something like that. Absolutely. Okay, it's going to be great. This is an amazing positive card to get. It's all about celebrations. Okay, so it is finally, wow, it has come true. Now, stepping away from that positive energy, we then have the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is about competition, so even though they're fighting, it could just be healthy competition within a job or competition for the specific job, but it also is about conflict and arguments, so again, it could have a more negative meaning if you're wondering about your relationships, things like that. There could be a period of arguments happening within the relationship, within your home, things like that. Just people not really getting along and feeling like they always have to fight each other to speak, right? Six of Wands. This is about victory. This is about success. This is about reaching a goal. It's a great card if you've been wondering about like writing projects or if you've been waiting for someone to express their emotions. This card is saying that whatever you've been waiting for, whatever the objective is that you've been really wanting, this comes in to say, hey, you've completed it. You're good. You've gotten what you needed. Okay? And so now you're free. You've reached the success. You've reached the victory now. The objective has been reached. Okay, so it's a really positive card to get, and certainly if you've been wanting to know a very specific outcome to your very specific goal, this is a great card to get, because it's basically saying it'll be successful. Now, the Seven of Wands is about having to defend that success. Okay, you've worked hard for your position, so there are going to be people that really want to take you down, either in the forms of negativity, criticism, or maybe it's people that don't want to let you get away with things. Maybe they just don't like you. Maybe they want to take you away from that position. But whatever it is, you're defending that position because you've earned that. Okay. The Eight of Wands is all about fast communication, fast travel, very fast. Okay. Emphasis on fast here. Just so much communication, emails, texts, phone calls, whatever it is. Just everything's moving very quickly in your life. A lot of heavy card about travel, so if you're wondering if you're going to travel recently or if things going to pick up in your life, Eight of Wands is like, you know what, like this is going to go so quickly you don't even understand. Okay, there's going to be a lot of communication back and forth. Okay, we then have the Nine of Wands, which is about perseverance, continuing with your particular journey with this whatever question is that you're asking. This guy's been through a lot of shit, but he's still standing. He does have a wall, so sometimes it can mean that you need to actually bring down that wall. You've been through a lot, maybe lower your guard a little bit, but also, depending on your question, you have this element of perseverance, this personal strength, this spiritual strength to continue on your journey, because you are almost at the end of your journey. Ten of Wands, which is about all of those wands, all those burdens and responsibilities and obligations that you've been having in this particular question. It's time to pile them all up, take them where they want to go, and just put them all down, okay? It's like trying to bring in all the groceries on one trip. Every guy that I know, including myself, thinks that they can do that. It's probably successful like 40% of the time, but oftentimes it isn't. So share the load, but it's about having too many responsibilities. And it's just time to put them all down, to lay them down to rest. Okay. Should have got some water. Shit. I could drink this plant water, but then I'm certain that I would die. So the Page of Wands is about good news communication. Okay, so this is about someone coming to you. Could be a talkative individual, could be fire sign, right? But youthful in nature. But this is about hearing something good. So if you've been waiting for opportunity to come to you, or you know that something's going to come to you, but you've just been like, shit, when's this going to come? Page of Wands is saying, oh, it's finally here, right? So this is saying that the news is going to come. It's going to come in quite quickly, and it will be, it's not as quick as the Knight, which I'll get to. It's the Page of he's kind of taken his time. He's been on foot. But he does deliver the news. Finally, it does come. It's kind of like, again, getting that phone call, that whatever. Maybe it's a phone call from someone that's, an apology that you're waiting for. Page of Wands comes in to say it's coming, okay? It's just slow moving. Knight of Wands is saying it's coming in fast, okay? Whatever it is. Any blockages in your life are being lifted this time, and the energy is now free-flowing, and absolutely the momentum is now moved forward. You're charging in directly, okay? Now, the Knight of Wands can be kind of brash because he's just charging in so quickly, but the energy is lifted. There's no more blockages anymore. You're now free to move. Okay. The Queen of Wands, element of a very woman who loves nature, very empathic, very caring, generous, but it talks about being creative. Okay, so this is about taking charge of your creative powers. Okay, so if it's talking about a feminine or a person in your life. It could be talking about their characters as somebody who is very caring, entrepreneurial, interested in the arts and stuff like that. But when it comes down to you, it's definitely talking about time to take charge of your own gifts. Okay, take charge of your spiritual gifts and your creative ability. And then we have the King of Wands, who is this sort of worldly man who is very, very creative. Makes decisions, very passionate, okay? So if this card's coming up in your life about you, it's saying it's time to take charge in all areas of your life. It's time to be that King of Wands. He's a very worldly individual. So if it's a man in your life, it could be someone that's well-traveled, who knows a lot. But no matter if it's about you or another person, the energy of this card is about creative ideas flourishing and just about being able to be in this energy of kind of complete creative confidence. Okay. So, lastly, we now have the the Cups cards. We start with the Ace of Cups. All right, so this is the last one, guys. I can't believe this video was as long as it did. I should have just watched TV, but I didn't. Here we are. All right, Ace of Cups. So, guys, like the other ones, opportunity comes for a loving relationship. Now, it could be a partnership. It could be something, but that isn't romantic. But generally speaking, let's say it is. Okay. This is the opportunity, a new beginning in love, something now offered to you. It could be whatever that new beginning is, whether it's an apology, an ex returning, a new opportunity with someone new. The idea is that there's a newness about it. There is now an opportunity for a love story to begin, whatever that may be. And if it isn't romantic love, it's a deep soul partnership, or either in the sense of a friendship or a legitimate actual partnership. So then we move on to the Two of Cups, which is about partnership, the loving soulmate union. Okay, great card to get if you're wondering if this person is meant for you. Now again, could be about partnerships in the idea of business or a real soulmate kind of friend and coming into your life. But generally speaking, again, suggesting that whatever the partnership is, it's an equal give and take, and that the both of you are very, very connected on a soul level, and that this is a legitimate give and take, equal balanced partnership. Okay. We then have the Three of Cups, which talks about celebration, okay, much like the Four of Wands in celebration terms. So Three of Cups is kind of about a party and gatherings, things like that. It's about kind of letting yourself loose, go into a party, maybe you drink too much, but the idea is you have something to celebrate. So maybe you're celebrating a birth, right, pregnancy, marriage, whatever, your ex-husband died, you're happy, whatever it is, maybe you don't have to pay alimony anymore, whatever the case is a celebration at hand. Because there's three people here, it kind of talks about just getting together with a bunch of people and celebrating, okay, rather than it talk about just a specific partnership. Now, the Four of Cups takes kind of a direct turn away from the positive and kind of goes a little bit in the negative. The Four of Cups is kind of like this guy isn't really interested in his emotions right now. He's taking the time to think about what he wants, so he's resting, right? Not really into the idea of really wanting to take much action in regards to emotions and love at this time, because there's clearly something that he needs to work out within himself. So he's taking the time to do that, okay? It's kind of about boredom a little bit, being bored in relationships, being bored with love emotions. We then have the Five of Cups. So this is about loss, but it's almost always about loss that's already happened, because the cups have been spilled, and in this guy here, or woman, right, focusing on what's already been spilled, and rather than what he has, okay? So things in life, of course, do upset us, but if we focus on what we've lost rather than what we've gained or what we could gain because of our new actions that we've taken or plan to take, and we focus again only on what's already happened, then it becomes very hard to appreciate and be grateful for what you have. So this is kind of that energy about just being kind of like you in melancholy in a sense, that you long for the times of this, but you're fundamentally not the same person anymore. We then have the Six of Cups, going back into the positive. It is the element of a return or a reconciliation of some kind of love. Now, if it's someone coming back into your life, obviously that's either good or bad, but the idea is it's a return of something. So it could be a return of a past life connection, the return of love into your life, or the return of a specific person into your life, who, who has an offering or something for you, kind of like a gift, okay? Six of Cups is like just something, again, being returned to you, reminiscent of the past, okay? Very childlike energy, very free. Now, the Seven of Cups is about opportunities. It is about having a lot of opportunities, so that's a good position to be in, but oftentimes when you have a lot of opportunities, you're not really sure where to go with them all, right? And so it can cause quite a lot of confusion, and of course, not every opportunity is a good opportunity, so use discernment when you can. So we then have the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is about walking away from things that no longer serve you. It seems like a negative card, but actually it's very, very positive. The Eight of Cups is basically suggesting that, you know what, the person you've realized that you don't need X, Y, and Z anymore. It's time to walk away from all that and just continue in your life, move forward into the future, away from the past. Okay. We then have the Nine of Cups. This is a wish fulfillment card. It can be kind of greedy in a sense. This guy kind of fat and smiling, kind of like a douchebag, but he has a lot. He wished for what he wanted. He got it. So it is again, you've wished for something and it's come true. It's a wish fulfillment card. So again, if you're wondering if you're going to get this job, or you're wondering if you're going to feel good again, Nine of Cups comes in to tell you, yeah, you're gonna. Okay, that wish is going to come true. It's a singular goal, a wish being accomplished. We then have the Ten of Cups. Great card to get. Ten of Cups is all about having that happy home life, that family, that all your cups together. Essentially, you've gotten everything that you wanted out of this emotional journey or this emotional connection. So maybe you started with this idea of just wanting a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and now finally you have a couple kids and you're married in a home, and maybe you just have that fulfillment of a real strong family unit. Or even if it doesn't have kids or a home involved, it's just about having everything that you've wanted in one place. Okay? All your wishes come true together. So maybe you want a car, a house, a partner, a dog, all of that, one place. Okay? Now the Page of Cups, slow moving, still on his feet, right? But love news. Okay? It's small though. It's got a little fish in the cup. Not large love news, but it is kind of a communication. It could be, usually it's kind of like a communication that's not direct, in the sense like you hear about somebody, that you hear good news from somebody else, even if it's not directly related to you. So what I mean by that is, like, maybe you find out someone likes you, but not from that person. Maybe you find out something good, but maybe not from that individual. You know what I mean? Someone delivers you some kind of good news. It's a messenger. Okay, so it's not the real person themselves delivering the good news. Who it's about the messengers delivering it. So it's just a messenger. And oftentimes it also could mean that you need to. There's an element of self-love and play, being with yourself, learning to discover yourself as well, because it isn't a large offer. Small. Now the Knight of Cups is much larger. Even the cup is larger itself. But the Knight of Cups can come across as somebody who's very charismatic, but when things get very tough, they can be they can shy away because they come across as very dreamy, very romantic, kind of Romeo-esque. But maybe can doesn't mean that they will. Can mean that they might be a little bit more talk than game. But it is an offer usually solid, and is at the very least a lot of emotions, okay, attached to that offer. The Queen of Cups is that emotional, intuitive woman. So when this card comes up, definitely speaking towards having a lot of emotions, being free with those emotions, and being content and happy. Okay, so this is that very compassionate woman, that compassionate energy that you may need, or that the other person you're wondering if they have that. It's a very good card to get if you're wondering about your partner. Okay. And then finally, the King of Cups, to talk about the intuitive man who finally is mature in himself and leads with his heart, still listens to his mind though, right? They still follow their heart, but they might lead with their mind, but they're mature. They're not going to overextend, but they're not going to not give you enough. They're not going to swindle you or betray you, but they're going to protect themselves at the same time. It's a complete, mature, authentic man, fully coming to terms with his emotions now, okay? So if you've been wondering, of course, if somebody's going to become more committed in your relationship, the King of Cups is saying yes, they're finally going to get it. Okay, guys, that was a long video. I'm exhausted. I might just go into the corner and completely just stare at the wall because of how exhausted I am. But I really do hope that this video was helpful, all jokes aside, and that you guys, of course, whoever's been watching my channel, I'm still going to be doing private readings, things like that. If you're ever interested, I'll still have the links and stuff in my description box. But I'm probably moving away, or I am moving away from more general tarot readings right now at this time on YouTube. So I hope that to anybody watching, new or old, that this video taught you something and that it was useful in some way. Alright guys, thank you so much. I will speak to you guys sooner or later in my next video. Alright guys,